Yesterday, SAP announced it was acquiring a company called Reltio, Master Data Management, Cloud Native, AI First. Most people in the SAP ecosystem read the headline and moved on, just another acquisition, another press release. But if you know how to read these moves, and after 25 years and over 100 implementations, I've learned to kind of read them. And this one tells you something that's really important, not just about SAP's strategy, but about the single biggest reason enterprise AI projects fail, and about what companies and consultants need to do differently because of that. I'm going to break it down for you what Reltio actually is, why this acquisition makes complete strategic sense for SAP right now, what it means if you're planning an AI or a BDC implementation, and what it creates in terms of new opportunities if you're a consultant. This is the kind of move that looks obvious in hindsight, but right now, today, most people haven't really connected the dots. So let me do that for you. Let me start with what Reltio actually does, because the press release language is all about master data management, entity resolution, golden record. Means very little unless you've lived the problem it solves. So let's talk about the problem and how does Reltio actually solve it. So, in any large enterprise, the real world entity, a supplier, a customer, and a product exists in multiple systems with multiple names, multiple formats, multiple records. Now, your supplier, Siemens AG, is Siemens AG in S4HANA. It is Siemens in your legacy CRM. It's Siemens something else in an acquired company's ERP. And it's Siemens AGDE in a third party procurement platform. So you have four records, the same company. No system knows they're the same entity. Now ask your agent to assess the supplier risk across your top 20 vendors. The agent looks across all of those systems and it sees partial data, it sees duplicates, it sees gaps. It gives you an answer confidently, but the answer is built on fragmented, inconsistent data. And you trust it because it came from AI. Now, Reltio resolves this. It uses AI based entity resolution to identify and merge all the records into one reliable, clean, unified record. A golden record, a single consistent view of every supplier, customer, product, employee, and location across SAP and non SAP systems. And that clean, unified data is what AI agents can actually work on reliably. Now, that is the gap this acquisition fills. And it's a gap that every large SAP customer has. Not some of them, all of them. So SAP has spent the last 2 years building Joule, BDC. They have 40 AI agents, 2,100 skills. All of it is brilliant. All of it is architecturally sound. But every single one of those agents depends on one thing: the quality of the data underneath it. Now, SAP's own executive board, said it publicly yesterday. AI cannot reach its full potential when data is fragmented across business units, platforms, and domains. Now, that's not a criticism, that's the honest description of where every large enterprise sits right now. And Reltio is the piece that solves it, but at scale. So I've seen this pattern before: a large organization, serious investment into AI and analytics, technically excellent implementation. The platform worked exactly as designed. 6 months in, the leadership team stopped trusting the outputs. The AI was surfacing recommendations that didn't match what people on the ground knew to be true, and decisions that looked right on screen but felt wrong in practice. So we went looking for why, and the answer was in the master data. Vendor records with three different naming conventions across four different systems, material numbers duplicated during a migration 5 years earlier, and customer hierarchy is not updated since an acquisition done in 2017. So the AI was doing its job perfectly. The data foundation was the problem. Tens of millions was spent, significant value destroyed, not because the technology failed, but because the data underneath it was, never ready for AI. This is the problem SAP is solving with this acquisition. And the timing makes complete sense, because now that Joule and BDC are live and companies are starting to implement them, This is the problem they are about to hit at scale. Now, Gartner has said it directly: 60% of AI projects will be abandoned in 2026 because organizations don't have AI ready data. Now, SAP read that, they looked at their own customer database, and they went and bought the company that solves it. Now, that's not a reactive move, that's a very smart, strategic, well timed acquisition by a company that understands exactly where its customers are going to struggle. So, let me show you where Reltio sits in the SAP architecture once this acquisition closes. So, S4HANA generates your transactional data. The non SAP systems could be your CRM, third party procurement, or any acquired ERPs, they generate their own. So all of it is fragmented. Now, Reltio sits between these sources, resolves them into clean, unified data products, and feeds that clean data into the SAP Data Cloud. Now, Joule agents sit on top of the BDC and use that foundation to take action across your enterprise. Now, without clean master data, Joule gives you confident sounding wrong answers. But with Reltio in the chain, the agents have a trustworthy, a governed, consistent foundation. And that's the architecture SAP is completing with this deal. Reltio also supports the model context protocol, which means its clean data can be queried in real time by multiple agents simultaneously. So, a procurement agent and a finance agent can both access the same supplier record at the same moment without a conflict or duplication. That's what enterprise wide agentic AI actually needs. And it closes in Q2 or Q3 2026. So, if you're a company planning to implement Joule or BDC or any SAP AI capability, here is what that acquisition means for your roadmap. It's three things. So, first, do not skip the master data conversation. I know it's not glamorous. I know it doesn't make into the vendor's pitch, but this acquisition is SAP publicly confirming that master data quality is a prerequisite for AI, not a nice to have. So before you spend on, Joule agents, understand what your master data actually looks like, across systems. What does your supplier data look like? Your customer hierarchy, your material master. If you don't know, find out before the implementation starts, not after. The second thing is, if you already have an MDM solution, understand how it will interact with Reltio inside BDC, as this acquisition completes. The commercial model SAP announced is flexible. You can buy Reltio separately or as part of the SAP products. But get ahead of that conversation with your account team now rather than being surprised by it later. Third is, use this acquisition as a forcing function inside your organization. So, if you've been trying to get a budget and leadership attention for data governance and master data quality, this is your moment. SAP just made the case for you. The world's largest enterprise software company spent an undisclosed amount of money to solve this problem. So, this is actually a very compelling argument for investing in it inside your own organization. So, if you're a consultant, this acquisition creates a new specific category of demand that is going to grow really, really fast. Master data management was always a work stream on SAP implementations. It was just usually underfunded and understaffed, 3 weeks and a junior resource. Now that is changing because when Reltio becomes a core capability inside BDC and the Joule agents depend on the quality of data flowing through it, MDM goes from a project work stream to a strategic capability that companies need to get right before anything else works. So the consultant who understands Reltio, who can design data governance frameworks, who can implement entity resolution at scale, who understands SAP MDG, master data governance, and how it connects to the BDC data product architecture, that person is going to be extremely valuable over the next 2 years. And right now, almost nobody has that combination. So the Reltio acquisition is a really smart move. It fills a real gap and it tells you more about the state of enterprise AI in 2026 than almost any announcement I've seen this year. Now, the organizations that get this right, that treat master data as the foundation of their AI strategy before they build on top of it, are going to pull ahead of the ones that don't, significantly and permanently. Here's what I want to know from you. In your experience, has master data ever been the reason an SAP project underdelivered? Tell me in the comments. I guarantee you are not alone, and I read every single one. So, hi, I'm Noel Benjamin DeCosta. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.